pro-vac movement promoting conversations about vaccine safety.
The conversation takes place between a mother and Colm, who is an advanced neonatal nurse practitioner in the neonatal unit where a premature baby is due her first 8-week vaccine.
Hi Sarah, how are you keeping?
I'm doing good, thanks, and it's great to see Laura doing so well.
Isn't she just? You know, if we think back to 8 weeks when she was just born, how much interventions and support she needed back then, you know, the CPAP machine, IV antibiotics and the IV fluids, you know, she's come such a long way. She's in an open cot now and she's doing really well with establishing feeds. Do you see these changes in her?
It's such a difference and we're really happy with how well she's been progressing.
I wanted to come and have a chat with you today about Laura having her routine childhood vaccinations, and I wanted to bring this leaflet for you to have, to read, and then to have a discussion about the vaccines to see if you had any questions about the vaccines and consent.
Well, you know, her GP did send us out a letter last week and it got me thinking. I'm just a wee bit worried that she might still be too young for the vaccines. You know, she was born at the 28 weeks and, well, she's still preterm. Do you think that she would be able to cope with so many vaccines altogether?
You know, you're right to ask these questions around prematurity because she's still affected by her prematurity. But, you know, we're 8 weeks older, and was 8 weeks back whenever she was first born, she needed a lot more interventions because a lot of the systems in her body were premature and immature. So thinking about her lungs, they weren't fully developed, and we had to support her breathing with the CPAP. You know, her liver was immature and she needed some support with jaundice with phototherapy. But you know, now that she's 36 weeks, she has 1 week off being classified as a term baby, and she's doing so well. So a lot of those systems are now stronger and better.
Yeah, do you know what? She's like a different baby, all right. But, you know, I was thinking, is it not better just to wait until her due date?
Ultimately, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking to you about discharge home with Laura. And what we want is that whenever she's discharged home, that she can stay at home. And the best way to do that is about the childhood vaccinations and preventing diseases that we can manage at the weeks 12, week 16, you know, and so on, because that's going to help build up her own active immunity to prevent her from being affected by these preventable diseases. You know, if you think about your pregnancy, you know, at 40 weeks is what you were aiming to get to, but unfortunately you delivered at 28 weeks. And in that last trimester of your pregnancy, there's a big surge of antibodies across the placenta into the baby, and that builds upon their active immunity. Laura never got to that stage, so it's even more important that as a preterm baby that she gets this at the 8 weeks now to prevent her from being affected whenever she's discharged home. You know, you were talking there about being overwhelmed by the number of vaccines. We come into contact with bugs and organisms every day, and our body's able to cope. And Laura's able to cope as well. She's experiencing this exposure as well, and she's showing that she's capable of managing that because she's staying well and healthy. So there's a lot of evidence out there that shows that preterm babies can manage and cope with the vaccine schedule and cope even better as they get older.
Well, you know, I actually thought that my breast milk alone was providing protection for her. You know, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to breastfeed in the first place.
Yeah, it does, you're right. It does a lot of protection for the immunological benefits of breastfeeding, along with a lot more as well. But what that does for Laura is it gives some passive immunity, so it's your immunity that's passing over, but it's not actually engaging with her own immune system. The vaccines activates Laura's active immunity so that if she comes into contact with one of the diseases that we've vaccinated against, her memory of that vaccine will then engage the killer cells to stop the disease from affecting her or not affecting her as much. And it's this active immunity that we want for Laura. But we would definitely recommend you to breastfeed your baby. You know, as an advocate, I would recommend that for all mothers. It's about topping up the protection that the vaccines give her. Are you happy with the questions and the answers we've discussed today?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I do feel less anxious now, and I'm happy to have her vaccines this week.
That's great. I'll leave this information leaflet here for you. But if any time you have any questions, or if Dad has any questions, just give me a shout and I'll come back in.
Okay, thank you.
All right.